are talking The Lodge. This one is directed by Servin Finalia and Veronica Franz. Now, this was one of two movies that I had watched that have a remarkable similar setup. This one and Dreamcatcher. Both movies focus on a essentially a family where the father has lost his original wife through tragic circumstances, has in this instance two young children, and has got involved with a new kind of girlfriend, if you like, and they basically go to a small remote cabin in the woods somewhere. In this case, it's kind of in like a frozen cabin, you know, in the winter just before Christmas. And for work reasons, the guy has to go away and leave the children in the care of this new girlfriend. And of course, the children don't like the new girlfriend because they feel that they are replacing the mum. And then bad stuff starts to happen. It's literally the same setup. What happens after that point is a little different between this and Dreamcatcher, but the setup is remarkably similar for two films that sort of came out around that kind of the same time here. So this one, I would say, compared to Dreamcatcher, is a little more of a mature psychological thriller, whilst Dreamcatcher is more of an overt horror. So first of all, what works with this movie? Okay, so like I said, this one is a they're both slow burns movies, to be honest with you. This one is, I would say, very artistically directed. I feel the directors here have a very kind of aloof artistic vision for their film. There's some great camera work here and some kind of artistic shots that are taken. Cinematography is great, and it does look, I always appreciate a horror movie in a snowy background. I do think it looks visually very, very striking. The movie actually has some interesting cast members here. When I first saw this, I was like, wow, Alicia Silverstone's in this. Don't kid yourself, she is in, she came in for one day of shooting and is in about 2 minutes of footage. Her scene is very good that she is in, but nonetheless, don't be expecting lots of Alicia Silverstone. Then you've got Richard Armitage here, who maybe came in for 2 scenes, 2 days of shooting, yeah, you know, not in it a lot. So our main kind of character is Riley Keough, who plays Grace, who is the kind of the new girlfriend here. The movie is quite thought-provoking, and you wonder what the moral of this story is. Is it, if you make your bed, you've got to lay in it? Or is it, don't date women who are very come from a fundamental religious background? Who knows? There is a variety of messages within this movie. The acting is pretty good across the board here, and I think everyone does a very good job. The movie feels very cold, is the best way I can kind of describe it. And it tries to throw you off the path a little bit in certain instances, but I'm going to come back to that because some of those things felt a little bit manipulative, if you ask me. And the movie does have a twist, sort of. I would maybe say it's more of a reveal, because I thought it was I kind of saw it coming, to be honest with you. So, and I think a lot of people will, so I don't know if it's really a twist necessarily. But nonetheless, it does have a somewhat, you know, shall we say, a depressing and tragic movie in total when you watch this one. So certainly not one for, you know, getting your party on necessarily. And in fact, both of these movies, this and Dreamcatcher, are kind of a little bit downbeat. Very, very similar movies in a lot of ways. Like I said, this one feels like it has a more of a polished feel to it, though. What doesn't work? This movie, I think, is a little long, if I'm honest. Dreamcatcher, for such a similar story, is about 20 minutes shorter, and I think it benefited a little bit from that. The thing with this movie, I feel it will be a bit boring for a lot of people, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of time here, very long takes, scenes that do kind of drag on. It's well made, but I feel the story kind of drags quite a lot, to be honest with you. And as I mentioned earlier, I feel this movie is a little bit manipulative in what's kind of going on. Now, I'm all for having a twist, but I feel if the movie tries to misrepresent itself, it doesn't really do itself any favours. Now, again, I don't want to give you these spoilers away here, but there's certain scenes where I think back and thinking, what was that about? You know, was that a dream? There's a scene, for example, where there's another property, let's just say that, and I just think, was that a dream then? What's going on? I mean, it almost seems pointless. And there are a couple of scenes here where I felt like, I don't know if it really felt like there's lots of scenes within this dollhouse, and I guess the dollhouse is meant to reflect what's kind of going on in the kind of the quote-unquote real world. But I felt, okay, I've had enough shots of the dollhouse now. Yes, it's a very impressive dollhouse, but I don't need to see 20 different shots of this dollhouse. Yeah, this is going to be a taste thing for a lot of people. I do think it's a well-made film. I do think it's probably production-wise made a lot. It's a better made film than Dreamcatcher, although it's certainly more of a kind of like an arty film, if that makes sense to a degree. It makes kind of sense, apart from maybe these kind of issues where it kind of seemingly goes off on a tangent here. But I have to be honest with you, I found it a little bit of a non-event to a certain degree. But I will say it's very impressively made. I think the direction is solid here, but I think it could have been shorter. I don't think it needed to have quite as many distractions within the film. So I feel here maybe the issue is possibly the script to a certain degree. I just think it needed to be a little bit more reshaped, and I didn't. I think it's cheap when the movie definitely, tries to misrepresent itself in such an obvious way. They go, aha, look, this is what's really going on. I thought, well, if you're going to have a twist, you have to make it kind of seem like something we could have figured out, and not try to have these like random scenes that could be misinterpreted. And I don't know. Again, it's hard to describe without spoilers. So hard maybe just to really rate. I do not think that a lot of people would enjoy this film, but it is a well-crafted film. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.